Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Brayman with Patients United, and we are having a fun little interview here with one of our patient heroes, Cinde Dolphin. Hello, Cinde.
Hello, Mark. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being with us. I'm really excited about your story. Of course, we've talked before, but just tell us a little bit about your own patient experience, what conditions you had and what you had to go through.
All right. I'm a four-time cancer survivor and had about 9 various procedures where I had to use Jackson Pratt drains during the recovery period.
And what
And
are those?
okay, so they're about the size of a grapefruit. They're attached to a drain line. The drain line is inserted during the last part of the procedure, attached to the skin using sutures. And then at the other end of that drain line is this drain bulb, again, about the size of a grapefruit. It works on a suction principle. And when it's collapsed and the cap is put on, it actually siphons fluid from the surgical area, preventing any kind of infections or complications. It increases the likelihood of a successful outcome. So they're called Jackson Pratt drains, invented about 50 years ago. So these 9 procedures where I had the Jackson Pratt drains, every time the post-surgical unit gave me safety pins to manage the drain bulbs, which they intended me to pin the bulbs to my hospital gown or clothing in order to keep them safe from dangling off my body. And I just felt that it was a very unsafe and uncomfortable way to manage drains. And
Jeez. So you've basically got these collapsed grapefruits hanging off your gown, right?
yeah,
With
pretty
the tubes going
attractive.
from them into your body.
Right, right. And I honor the system that it's a beautiful way for preventing any kind of infection. But after 50 years, there needed to be a better way to manage the drains. It was just not being addressed. And I think just because it was a legacy solution, nobody came up with anything else. So my last surgery, I actually brought a Home Depot apron with me. And I asked the nurses if we could use that to manage my drain bulbs. And not only did they like it, they declared it a success, and they wished that they would issue one with every patient that came out of surgery with Jackson Pratt drains.
So do you have a branding thing going on with Home Depot now?
I should, right? Sponsorship of some type. No, but I did take that same kind of pattern home. And it's kind of funny. I went to a dollar store and bought a bunch of the mesh laundry bags and reconfigured them, and developing the same pattern as a Home Depot apron, created a mesh version of it. And that had a zipper closing so bulbs could go in, zip them closed so no chance for losing them. And then what was really special about that is it was allowing the patient to bathe after surgery. So as you can imagine, if you're using safety pins, there's nothing to pin the bulbs to when you're in the shower. And if you're using a canvas apron, that won't go in the shower. So this was actually a very simple yet comfortable solution to managing these heavy drains.
That is awesome. So you can actually just wear this thing right into the shower. The water's just going to kind of flow through, doesn't create any problems. Give us a visual. How big is this pouch? Where is it?
Okay, it's worn like an apron, or if you have surgical drains that are higher than the waist, you can wear it even draped over the shoulder. But it's pretty much an apron size that's about 8 inches by 4 inches. And
So when you say apron, we're not talking about a big kitchen apron that's like a
no,
mini dress
no,
or something.
certainly not. It's definitely smaller and meant to hold 4 Jackson Pratt drains at a time. So most surgeries include 4 drains, and this is quite comfortable and makes it so much easier for the patient. They feel a little bit more dignity about wearing them instead of parading around with bulbs filled with blood. They can wear them around their waist and wear clothing over the top of it. No one needs to know.
That sounds awesome. So how did the nursing staff in the hospital respond to this?
I've had really positive response. I actually went back to the same hospital where I had my surgeries to ask them if they would give it a bit of a clinical trial in their surgical center, and it was a big success. and the lead nurse for the post-anesthesia care unit ordered our first round, and they're continuing to use it. UC Davis Medical Center is the first to order it, but it's now in a number of major national hospitals. And so we feel really good that we're helping patients right now.
Good for you. As a patient, figuring out a solution that should have been figured out 50 years ago, our whatever we call as a healthcare system just doesn't really innovate for the most basic things. And a patient had to sort this out. So you're getting into medical centers. How are you getting it to patients across the board? I mean, the whole medical system must be just like, this is fantastic, right? They're embracing
Well,
it?
you would think they would go, yeah, let's do it, but it's certainly not that easy to get into the healthcare system. It is their inventory is pretty much ordered through the large chain suppliers. And if you're an MD like we are, going to a hospital, there's a lot of hesitation because there's more paperwork, it's a little less efficient for them. So we have to go one by one to hospitals and convince them that this makes a difference, in spite of the fact that nurses and doctors feel very strongly about it. So it's an uphill battle, but we're trying to bring the system to shift their paradigm and look at patients who have solutions so that they can better address the day-to-day needs of patients.
Awesome. So as part of your pursuing that to get that available to patients, you were sharing with me that you've gone to these major supplier companies, even to the point of talking to board members personally. And
Yeah.
yet what happened?
Not so much. And I understand their business model is about large items that create higher revenue and improve their bottom line. They have stockholders that are responsible to. So something like a small product that costs very little is certainly not going to drive revenue for them. And so as much as they thought it was a brilliant idea, they said, frankly, it's just not going to make business sense for us to carry it. So we hope that we can bring together a critical mass of patients who have products and maybe create our own supply chain. So that's the future.
Yes, I love it. And that's basically what Patients United is about. It's not about what's going to make some shareholders a lot of money. It's about what's the right thing to do for patients. So this is why we're talking and why we're going to be collaborating going forward and seeking to help get your great solution out to as many people as possible. And in that process, start to create those new dynamics and new systems that bypasses the nonsense and the middlemen and just does the right thing for the right reason.
Exactly. And there are
So
some brilliant ideas out there. Really, other patients have come up with incredible solutions.
yes, and we hope to be the mechanism to get those solutions to the people who need them and not have it constantly blocked by the current players. So what is it that you specifically want to accomplish with this great product, and how are you going about producing it?
So we ultimately hope to reduce the number of incidents where patients have to get critical care for drains that have been torn out from sutures or caught on doorknobs. And so one of the ways we're doing that is to engage the patients in talking to their doctors about alternatives. And there have been a number of cases where patients have brought their doctors the sample of what they're wearing, and then this has produced orders, doctors being a little more open-minded about where they accumulate inventory for their patient care. And then we also hope to, excuse me, hope to get pre-op appointments where we can provide the patients with a peek under the tent, if you will, of what's going to be needed after they're through with their surgery. So this can eventually become part of the discussion for what's needed by patients as they're coming through recovery time.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to this being a part of what we put together in terms of a surgery support kit for patients to guide them
Brilliant
through
idea.
everything they need to know, options that aren't typically going to be offered, how to be part of changing healthcare to make it better for themselves and for other people. I think it's going to be a very good thing. Now, you did
I
a number of things, partly that intrigued me as a physician. things like reducing complications and hospital infections.
Yes, the current protocol using a safety pin, we all know that a sharp is just not good to have in a hospital environment. It has potential to transmit infections. And it also is used on an item that's 100% dependent on being airtight. So high likelihood that that pin could puncture the bulb. And so we're really feeling as though it's overlooked as being a poor solution. And we really feel like by having a better solution, we're going to reduce the amount of infection in the hospital. And we're also going to improve the mobility of the patient. We know based on clinical studies, the sooner the patient is mobile, the faster their recovery. When you're wearing heavy bulbs and you have no means of managing them, you're more likely to stay in bed and just not get up. But if you have a way to handle it and get up, shower, go back to your usual lifestyle, you're going to recover faster.
Absolutely. Now, the other interesting thing about what you're doing is you're not just seeking to help the patients here and now in the United States, but even in the production. Tell us how that's working.
So it was very interesting. After surviving cancer so many times, I felt like I owed a debt to the universe. So I volunteered to work with a group in a microfund cooperative. And these women are beautiful, but they're barely sustaining themselves with farming and the small amount of money that they make from chickens and eggs. So I came to them with the plan to be a business consultant. However, they taught me so much more than I could possibly teach them. So they have a way of thinking that's centered about what the problem is and coming up with a solution that works for the people that are being affected by the problem. And they taught me that's how to think. And when I showed them our product, the medical drain carrier, they thought, we can do much better than that. We could make it a beautiful product for people that are going through a really difficult time. And within just a matter of a day, they came back using their treadle sewing machine and beautiful, bold fabrics they have over there. They had created fabric versions of the medical drain carrier that made a beautiful statement about managing those drains, and it created a small business for these women. I brought the aprons back to the US. They're now being sold in hospital gift shops, and the money that they make from these aprons is being used for buying farm supplies, for kids' school fees, and more importantly, for health care for their families. So a small idea here in the US brought to them in Africa is now helping them manage their own health care.
That is fantastic. So we're creating a virtuous cycle all the way around in the process.
Yeah, and they feel really good about themselves too, which is wonderful.
Awesome, awesome. Cinde, thank you so much. You are one of the patient heroes here, helping make healthcare better for all of us. And
Thank
we're
you.
going to continue to work together going forward and getting these solutions and more to all the patients who need them. Thank
I
you.
agree. Thank you for your doing too.